Hello, I'm Bernie Hayes. Today, my guest is the pastor of the Lane Tabernacle CME Church, Richard McDuffie. Today on The Bernie Hayes Show. Welcome back. Well, I promised you my guest is the pastor of Lane Tabernacle CME Church in St. Louis, Missouri, Richard McDuffie. Pastor, how are you, sir?
I'm doing good, Bernie. Good to see you today, and it's a blessing always to come and share with you.
You're very kind. I expect you to be in black and gold today, sir, or representing your fraternity.
Well, I tried not to wear my black and gold today, and I wanted to be a little bit more Christmassy, so I had bought my Christmas hat with me, but you didn't let me wear my Christmas hat, the one that lights all up. And I wanted to be a little professional, so I didn't wear my Christmas sweater, the one with Rudolph on it.
I know.
But you know, I'm usually in my black and gold.
Yes, sir.
So,
tell us about Lane Tabernacle CME Church. Tell a little bit of the history of Lane and your history at Lane.
Well, first of all, Lane is a part of a historical black denomination, one of the three black denominations. The AME Church was founded first, the AME Zion Church, and then the CME Church. And we came out of the ME Church South, and we were created as an institution in 1870. We started there in the South, and a lot of our churches spread from the South, and really as blacks migrated from the South to the North, St. Louis was one of those stops. And Lane Tabernacle was one of those churches that was founded just off the river, landing here in the St. Louis area. And it got its official endorsement from one of the first bishops of our church, Bishop Isaac Lane, and that's where Lane is named after. And from my recollection, he was one of those persons who gave an initial amount of money so that the site where we are now could be purchased. And during that time, they were purchasing what they call connectional churches. And Lane was one of those churches that was founded by our denomination and has been what we call one of our leading churches, our first churches, for 100 years now. I was allowed to be appointed to this church in August of 2014.
I think it was
2014 when I came. So
10 years.
So this is my 10th full year, going into my 11th year, and it's just been a wonderful experience. Some of God's best people, and I've made several acquaintances and friends here in the St. Louis area. I've had the experience of pastoring in the CME Church. I got the start of my ministry in the Florida Annual Conference and stayed there for 30 years of my life, and then moved to Birmingham, pastored in the Birmingham, North Alabama area for about 15, 16 years. Then in 2010, I moved with my current bishop, Bishop Williams, to Ohio, Akron, Ohio. Matter of fact, the home of LeBron James, and stayed there for 4 years. And it was a wonderful church, wonderful community. Really, it's a suburb of Cleveland, so you had all the benefits of the big city, and a 20-minute ride away from Cleveland Stadium, the baseball team. So I ride right up 76, 77, and I'm right in downtown Cleveland in 20 minutes. But it was a wonderful place. The only problem I had was the cold. It was just, for me, unbearably cold.
Lake Erie, something else, isn't it?
Oh, man, snow coming off of Lake Erie is nothing to kid about. So in 2014, when we came out of the annual conference, then I was reassigned to the Lane Church, and it's just been a blessing.
And all the waterway you have to worry about is the Mississippi River.
All I have been. So it really, honestly, for me, having traveled the church from Florida to Alabama to Akron, Ohio, St. Louis is a good spot.
Yes.
Because you get the extreme cold and the snow, you get the heat, but you don't get the extreme cold that stays with you all the time.
Right. Just snaps.
So you get snaps of cold. But once you've been in Akron, you can deal with the snaps of cold that you get in St. Louis. So.
Same way in Chicago. Same way in Chicago. Now tell us about, you gave us a history lesson about the CME Church. What C meant in the CME Church?
And that's a good question because a lot of folks ask, what's the difference between AME Zion, and the CME Church? And the CME for us in the very beginning in 1870, we were the Christian, not the Christian Methodist Episcopal Church, but we were the colored Methodist Episcopal Church.
So the C was for colored.
So the C was for colored, and it designated us as the colored members who came out of the ME Church South, and we were set aside. We had our own jurisdictional body, and from 1870 until 1954, we were considered the colored CME Church. And the leaders of our church in 1954 decided that colored was too restricted. So in 1954, in the Miami General Conference, a resolution was put forth that the name of our church would be the Christian Methodist Episcopal Church. And we changed it in 54. But in many of the churches in the South, we were still considered and called ourselves colored. You would go in the late 60s, early 70s, and even when you would visit those rural churches, you would see on the signboard colored. So when I grew up, and I was born in 56, which is 2 years after they enacted that, all I knew was the colored Methodist Episcopal Church. Okay. I was almost in high school before I realized that the official name of our church was Christian. Okay. So we have been called the Christian Methodist Episcopal Church, or CME Church for short, just as the AME Church is called the AME Church, but that's the African Methodist Episcopal Church, African Methodist Episcopal Zion Church. And our church, the difference between us and those two faith traditions, we came out of the South. So we were totally a Southern-based African-American church, where the AME Church and AME Zion Church had their start. A lot of their churches and a lot of their memberships were in the North, and then they kind of migrated to the South as they expanded. But we were totally a Southern body that came out of the South.
You know, a lot of people, just not knowing our culture, not knowing African-American culture, think that all black people are Baptists. How did that come about, sir? Deep sigh, right?
It is interesting because there are so many Baptist churches. And I think part of it is behind the churches are created. They're more of what we call congregational churches, and ours are more Episcopal-based churches where we have bishops over us. But in a congregational church, all you have to do is just come together, form a church, and it was easier for them to become Baptists because the Baptist tradition is an old tradition. Sure. And the Baptist tradition, just like the Methodist tradition, many of those black church members were also part of the white church as well. So they came out of the white church and they formed their own congregations. So the movement of blacks coming out of the Methodist tradition is not just endemic to us. It happened in the Baptist tradition as well. And here is one thing that a lot of folk don't realize. There are a large contingent of Catholic black persons who are affiliated with those traditions, as well as Episcopalians and others. Right now, the Baptist tradition, but there are several Baptist traditions themselves. Progressive Baptists, you got missionary Baptists, you got primitive Baptists, and they all come together, and we see them as one homogenized group. But there are several Baptist traditions, as well as what they call the, what is that name they call themselves? The holiness tradition within the Baptist church. So they're a large group, probably the largest group of Christians in America are the Baptists, and then we have the Church of God in Christ those individuals. So, yeah. So we kind of just all get kind of lumped in together.
Yeah.
And where I came from in the South, you have family members who were both Baptist and Methodist. And in the Deep South, the first church that I pastored, one of the first churches I pastored in Birmingham was called Mays Chapel. And what we had was a circuit church. And Mays Chapel met on second and fourth Sunday. The Baptist church met on first and third Sundays.
Same building.
So in a lot of places it was the same building, or when they got better, they had two different buildings. Sure. So you had two different churches, and in many places they were in the same building. One pastor would come in on first and third Sunday and pastor the Baptist people. On the second and fourth Sunday, a Methodist preacher would come in. A lot of time they were in the same building. They were the same folk. They were the same family, but they were divided among those things. So it was just normal and almost understood that we were both Baptist and Methodist at the same time.
But still Christians.
Still Christians.
My guest is the pastor of Lane Tabernacle CME Church, 910 North Newstead, Richard McDuffie, and we'll be right back after this.
Since 1972, New Life Evangelistic Center has been on the front lines, reaching out, helping the hurting, the homeless, the fatherless, the widowed throughout mid-America. Yes, although it's had its roots in St. Louis, it now has expanded throughout mid-America into India and Africa, Haiti, and other places around the world. Oh, what a history New Life Evangelistic Center has. And we have many of these history books available to you, and they're right there on Amazon. And if we can help you get one of those, you contact us at 314-421-3020. But in addition to all that, we want to share a lot of that history with you right here as we take a look at how the work began and how the Lord has taken us throughout the years and the miracles that we have seen, all because of caring people like you. You're part of the history of the New Life Evangelistic Center. And we're believing that 2025 is the year that the center is going to become alive and seeing the Lord do exceedingly beyond we can even ask or think. We're on the verge of miracles. Yes, New Life Evangelistic Center has a rich history, but there's much more yet to come. And that's why I'm inviting you to familiarize yourself with the history of the past and be a part of the miracles of the present. Yes, let the Lord God Almighty work in you and through you. Let Him do exceedingly beyond what you can ask or think. He's got a purpose for you. And we want you to be able to live out that purpose as you get directly involved in the history of New Life Evangelistic Center and what the Lord is doing now.
God loves a cheerful giver. Even though things are really tough right now, you can make a difference in the lives of so many. New Life has been doing this work for 50 years, and we have seen God's gracious goodness through people like you who have participated in this work. There are so many people who are suffering. More people are becoming homeless for the first time with the rising costs of inflation and food and housing and so many other commodities. We need help. You can make a difference today in the lives of so many by giving your tax-deductible gift to P.O. Box 473, St. Louis, Missouri. Or go to newlifeevangelisticcenter.org or call to get involved in this incredible work.
And welcome back. My guest is the pastor of Lane Tabernacle CME Church, Richard S. McDuffie. And Pastor McDuffie, the tradition of Lane Tabernacle CME Church, where are you located?
We're located on the corner of Enright and Newstead, in the heart of what we call the Vanderbilt West End neighborhood. I often tell folk jokingly that if you're selling property, we are in the Vanderbilt neighborhood. If you're buying property, we're in the Central West End. And when you say Central West End, price go up when you're trying to buy a house. But if you're trying to sell a house, then we're in Vanderbilt and the price goes down. But the ministry has been there for almost 100 years now, doing a great work. We have a very nice facility there. We do food pantry twice a month. We have a consortium that we do a health clinic along with our Muslim brothers in this community. They supply doctors and we supply the place and we supply nurses, but we give back to our community, and those in those ways. We also, during this time of the year, we make sure that we are a part of giving back to those persons who are not as fortunate, making sure that we are giving back to gifts for those persons who are less fortunate. But the ministries have been always strong at Lane for years. They did a Girl Scout and a Boy Scout groups, and many of those older persons who went to some of the black high schools can tell you about their time at Lane Tabernacle as a part of their scouting ministry.
Okay. And tell us about the Sunday school at Lane.
Sunday school, we're doing something different. During the pandemic, when we all were sequestered and we had to try doing church in a new way, one of the things we started doing was church at 10, and then I tried something different doing Sunday school at the end of the worship service. Traditionally, you do Sunday school first, and then you do church. Well, one of the things that we did during the pandemic, and once we started coming back into our building, we kept the 10 o'clock service, but we started doing Sunday school at 12 noon once we finished the morning service. And the Sunday school has been wonderful. It's been a wonderful experience. I'm a Sunday school kid. I was brought up in Sunday school, so even now as a pastor, I'm prepared for Sunday school every week. We're getting back to the place because of the pandemic. We had to curtail or cut back certain number of our ministries. So we are reimagining how we do Sunday school. And one of the ways is now that we do Sunday school behind the worship service instead of in front of the worship service.
Pastor, not just Lane, but the pandemic itself, how did it impact the church-going people?
Well,
the church.
I saw the pandemic as a blessing, as God speaking to all of us to be able to do church, reimagine doing church in a different way. We were able to reimagine our worship styles, our worship flow, our order of worship, to put it in another way. I realized myself as an old school pastor that for years I thought unless you were in church for at least an hour and a half, 2 hours, you really wasn't having church. But the Lord had to say to me, you can do all this in an hour. And why were you really keeping the people there an hour? So it allowed us to reimagine how we do church. Also, it allowed us to have a foothold or to present our church electronically through Facebook, YouTube, and those other mechanisms. We, like many other churches, we went out and we purchased. We don't have the elaborate equipment like you do here in your studios, but we purchased equipment so that we can broadcast, and it has been a tremendous benefit to our persons who are homebound. They can come and be a part of not only Sunday school, but the worship service. It allows us to keep in touch with those members who have gone off to school, who are consider themselves members who are in other states. My sister lives in Fort Wayne, Indiana, and she's one of our best members. She's with us every Sunday. It also allowed us to give differently. You saw on the screen that we put up our Cash App information, but we started giving electronically. And I remember when we started giving electronically when I first came, my second son, which is my middle son, I have 3 sons, James Aaron, came in. He said, Dad, you need to start doing electronic giving. And I remember we went to the church conference and folk fought, and I said, listen, young people give differently. So we had just to reimagine how to do church. And I really do believe that those churches that were able to get on board survived the pandemic better than those churches who waited to get back to normal, because we never got back to normal. Even in your business, you know, the church, the business, or the way we did things never got back to normal. And a lot of those things, in my opinion, were good.
You notice that the Lane Tabernacle people who attain your membership, your parsonage, the people, the members, are so dedicated to Lane.
Yes, sir.
Do you even have a special way they give the address? What is that? How is that?
One of the things I did, I'm just one of those persons like to engage people. So usually when we get up and we come together as a congregation, we'll go, Lane Tabernacle, 910 North Newstead. And it's just one of those things that we do as a congregation. But again, they're very dedicated people who are committed to the church and committed to ministry. And as I say, some of God's best saints. Mm-hmm. So I consider it a privilege to have been able to pastor for the last 10 years.
Now, in all those ministries that you support, the clinic and the food pantry and so forth, now you need people to use that Cash App. Tell us once about how to donate to the
Again, you can donate by Cash App, $ Lane 910, and those gifts that you give to us, of course, are tax deductible. And if you're not on Cash App, you can always mail it to the church, 910 North Newstead, St. Louis, Missouri, 63108. And any gifts that you give go to the support of the ministry that we do, particularly food pantry. And I tell my people that even during the winter time, between Thanksgiving and Christmas, a lot of churches give giveaways, they give turkeys. I say, listen, let them do that, because there are still 11 more months in the year where we're not giving away turkeys for Thanksgiving, we're not giving away Christmas baskets, and those food pantries, those giveaways will impact somebody's lives. And we as Christians not only need to give them the gospel, but we need to make sure that people's needs are met to the best of our ability. Not somebody else's, but the best of that local church's ability.
Reverend Richard McDuffie, Lane Tabernacle CME Church is my guest. And we're at the New Life Evangelistic Center, 2428 Woodson Road in Overland, Missouri, 63114. Reverend Larry Rice has been here more than 52 years providing services for those in need. Continue to support us. We'll be right back after this.
I know for many, everything may seem dark and hopeless. Along with St. Paul, I'm praying, as he did in Ephesians chapter 3, 14 to 21, that the eyes of your understanding may be opened, that you will know the awesome God of love. Yes, the God of hope, the God who, while we were yet sinners, sent his Son to the cross to die for us on that cross, paying the price of our sin, and he rose from the dead. As we begin to get this in the depths of our understanding, as we begin to get a glimpse of God's awesome love for us, as we begin to call upon the Lord in this time of trouble and hopelessness, he will deliver, he will strengthen, he will help, and the God of hope is going to fill you with all joy and peace in believing, as he tells you in Romans chapter 15. What an awesome God we serve. Let his love and his infinite knowledge and wisdom come and be a part of your life now. And may you have that hope for the future, knowing that you're not alone, but God is right there with you through Christ Jesus.
Today's subject, Robert Smalls. He was an African-American born into slavery in Beaufort, South Carolina, but during and after the American Civil War, he became a ship's pilot, sea captain, and politician. He freed himself, his crew, and his families from slavery on May 13, 1862, when he led an uprising aboard a Confederate transport ship, the CSS Planner, in Charleston Harbor, and sailed it north to freedom. His feat successfully helped persuade President Abraham Lincoln to accept African-American soldiers into the U.S. Army. As a politician, Smalls authored state legislation that gave South Carolina the first free and compulsory public school system in the United States. Robert Smalls, our Black History moment for today. Robert Smalls.
It takes many partners to operate New Life Evangelistic Center. We're a large ministry operating and serving so many people all throughout Missouri. And so we appreciate so much Bernie Hayes and his many years of dedicated service to people who are experiencing homelessness all throughout Missouri. But we need people like you to partner with Bernie Hayes and with New Life Evangelistic Center to make a real impact in the lives of people who are hurting now. In a very practical way, you are being the hands and feet of Christ in the streets of St. Louis and Springfield, Missouri, and beyond. So I want to thank everyone who is partnering with New Life Evangelistic Center. I want to challenge you to get involved today for the glory of God and the good of others in our community. Thank you so much. and God bless those who are making a big impact on the lives of hurting people.
And welcome back. I'm Bernie Hayes. My guest is my pastor, actually, from Lane Tabernacle CME Church, Richard McDuffie. I've been a member of CME Church all my life. Reverend Pettigrew was my pastor in Chicago.
Okay.
Yes, at Lane St. Paul CME Church in Chicago.
In Chicago.
Yes, sir. What you made several reference to church conference. What is a church conference, sir?
Church conference is our monthly business meetings, and in the CME Church, we have several conferences. We have the general conference that takes care of the connectional ministries of our church, that sets the policies for the local church. Then we have the district conference, where the churches in a specific area come together to make sure that we are doing ministry. But on the local level, it is the church conference, or what you will call in other church traditions our main business meeting, and that's where we come to hear reports, to hear the financial status of the church. But more than anything else, the church conference is a place where we come to formulate our strategies, to do ministries in our community. And I believe that that's very important. So monthly, I try to make sure that we have a church conference so that we are informed about the ministries, are informed about what's going on in the church. And because I really do believe that one of the things that helped the CME Church be effective is its ability to have its church conference and an organized way of how it plans its ministries, who's in charge, what are the positions, how you vote on everything. Because every member of the church is a part of the church conference. So everybody has a voice, everybody can come and talk, everybody's opinion is welcome within the church conference. So the church conference is a very important part that help establish and keep the CME Church going.
I notice also, Pastor McDuffie, that you, on communion Sundays, for those who are sick and shut in, you actually go to their homes, and those who are sick and ill who can't make it, that you travel.
Yes, sir. Part of the tradition of our church, and it's not just CME Church, but most Christian churches, they have a mechanism by which we carry communion to our sick and shut in. I came from that position in that school where on Sundays you went to go visit, and my mentors in the ministries always say, Ricky, we going to go visit the folks. So taking communion out, and it's such a vital part. Yes, we come together on Sunday mornings and we commune, and we can come together and they can see us on the broadcast, but there's nothing like going to the hospital or going to the home where those persons are sick and shut in and sharing with them in the communion moment. I usually have myself and one of our stewardess ladies, and they serve the table of the poor, the table of the ministry, and the table of the Lord. So those persons usually go with me as we serve communion, and it's just a blessing to those persons to get to see members of the church and to see their pastor, because at the end of the day, folk want to see their pastor.
Once again, how can we reach Lane Tabernacle CME Church, and how can one donate?
Again, we're located on the corner of Enright and Newstead, 910 North Newstead, zip code 63108. You can also use that address to mail any donations that you have if you don't have the electronic giving. And also you can contact us. We have a secretary who's there 3 days a week, area code 314-533-0534. I got it. 0534. You can call us and you can get a schedule of the different ministries that we have available. And you're welcome to come to be a part of any of our worship services as well. Because one of the things that we just had, and I like this ministry, we do what we call a breakfast with Santa every year. And that's a community outreach program that we do where persons can give and receive things as well.
This is wonderful. I can't tell you how much I appreciate you stopping by and talking to us and giving us wonderful information, Pastor McDuffie.
Well, thank you, Bernie. I appreciate it. Always coming. I may talk too much because I'm just an old preacher.
No, you never talk too much, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
For coming. And thank each and every one of you for supporting the New Life Evangelistic Center. I'm Bernie Hayes. Have a great day.